Hey everybody, welcome. Oh, I played as Isaac accidentally. That's okay. You know what? A little mix-up here. HM9X3Y3A. Who would have thought 36 episodes in we'd make the mistake? You know what? Selfishly, I'm happy it's this version of picking the wrong character. Traditionally, what I would do is start up a run. The moon. Try to move to Eden. Press space too fast and accidentally get stuck with the Lost. So I think, as far as character-based mix-ups go, we gotta be pretty stoked. Isaac, he's got a lot of HP. He's got a cool spacebar item, and as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't afraid of anything. So. Still Friday, by the way. Still just a nice... This is why I like Friday, as mentioned several episodes ago. You get the opportunity to just put numbers under your belt, you know? You get the opportunity to knock out a lot of something. And there's a unique level of fatigue that comes with that, for sure. Doing the same thing, a repetitious task over and over. But there's also a unique level of mastery, you know, that comes with... doing the same thing over the course of several hours on any given day. You know, maybe you're best when you're freshest. I think it depends on what the situation calls for, but it's also something to be said for when your whole life is dedicated to, you know, screwing a single nut onto a single bolt at Henry Ford's production line. I mean, you're probably the best bolt nutter that's ever existed, perhaps. Maybe the best of all time. I mean, you should be proud of that. I'm not necessarily saying it's the lot that everybody should hope for in life. I'm just thinking here. So, I mean, we definitely want... Hemolacry is just such a weird item. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take it. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm doing you a favor here, but I'm gonna take it because it might not be great, but it has cool synergies associated with it. And I feel bad, even though I probably shouldn't, that I accidentally chose Isaac instead of Eden. I don't think anybody actually cares, but I did it. I did the thing wrong. So, as a comeuppance, let's take entertaining item that is possibly not that good. I'm not too concerned about... I used to be concerned about stuff like that in a big way, you know? And this might seem like I care less about the duties of my job as I've gotten older. You might think I've gotten jaded. It's not actually the case. I care as much as I've ever cared, if not more, about the quality of entertainment that gets put out on video. You know, I work as hard as I've ever worked. I just don't get too, you know, sometimes people, they'll even make like a subreddit post. They'll be like, how on earth did NL accidentally skip the item room in episode 1371 of The Binding of Isaac? I mean, he's been playing this game so much. I've come to realize, you know, if I was gonna ever play perfectly, it would have happened by now. So what can I do, you know? All I can do is focus on the entertainment, which is why people are there in the first place, for the most part, I have to imagine. And then, you know, let the chips fall where they may. Play as best and as actively as I can while also keeping up a dialogue. And then, you know, you choose the wrong character, you reroll X for Y. Who really cares? You know? Maybe you do. And if so, I apologize. I mean, people are ornery about Sekiro right now. I understand that. People are like, well, I want to use Divine Confetti. And I'm like, well, I only have 4 Divine Confettis. Obviously, I can't use any, because if I use them, I could run out. Instead, I'll never use any ever. Good idea. I mean, I'm roasting myself because nobody can roast you like you. Hold on, I was just thinking. PhD is really good. Yeah, PhD, this will pay dividends over the course of the run. I got no complaints here. But Isaac, you know, Gungeon, there's mistakes for sure. Pronunciation, sometimes things get pronounced wrong. Why does he say bagel like that? That's because we say bagel like that up here. I mean, we say bagel. I've Americanized my accent. This is what happens. You get ridiculed by Americans, you slowly become more American. Why do you think I say dude so much? Stop saying bud, started saying dude. Now if I want to remember... Oh, you son of a gun. Turned into a Newfoundlander there temporarily. Now if I want to remember how my countrymen say bagel, I gotta go to the store. Hey bud, can I get a bagel and cream cheese? Give me a double, please. Please and thank you. Hold on. So we have Mom's knife from our item room, which definitely makes me feel a lot better about, well, a couple of things. One is, it makes me feel a lot better about hemolacria. It does take forever to charge up because hemolacria screwed up our rate of fire, but, you know, that's a very small price to pay. We're also still shooting, even though we have Mom's knife, which is extremely cool. And, I feel better about not getting a deal with the devil, because we got arguably, like, the best... Sneeze? We got arguably... Thank you. The best, deal with the devil item. I don't know, dude. I know Sinvicta did the item tournament. Might not have come to the conclusion that Mom's knife is the best item under, you know, popular vote. But if I'm voting, you know, it's like a Metacritic top 10 best movies of the decade sort of situation, right? I'm putting Mom's knife in the top 10. There's no doubt about it. Sure, I mean, Marbles it's funny at least. Why not? Alright, so we should get a deal with the devil on the next floor. I was actually embarrassed. I don't watch that many movies, but I'm aware of them, if that makes sense. Because there are people like me in the world. There's dozens of us. I probably watch under one movie a week. I go to Rotten Tomatoes probably once every 3 days. It's weird. Just force a habit, you know? So I have this muscle memory from, like, websites I used to go to every day when I was, like, you know, 18 years old. And even though I, like, haven't gone to them in years, sometimes when I've exhausted Twitter, Reddit, judging my Facebook friends, etc., I'll just type www.pitchfork, and then I'm like, why do I haven't even listened to a new album since since 2012? Why the heck am I going to Pitchfork Media? Well, for stories like Jeff Tweedy being cast in the new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, apparently. Anyway, but there was like a composite list of critics' favorite movies of the 2010s, and I've seen literally one of them, and it's Mad Max Fury Road. Don't get me wrong, Mad Max Fury Road is a fantastic movie. That's not a secret room, huh? This could also be a secret room. Fair enough. I'll go to bat for Mad Max Fury Road. Apparently, I don't need to go to bat for Mad Max Fury Road. This is one of the best movies of the 2010s. But I ain't never seen Tree of Life. I ain't ever seen Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. I did see Inherent Vice. That one didn't make it up on the list, though. And you know what? I would tend to agree. I haven't seen Phantom Thread. Okay? Stop asking me if I've seen Phantom Thread. I can't stream without 100 people popping into chat being like, hey, has this absolute Philistine watched the movie where Daniel Day-Lewis turns in a life-affirming role as a dressmaker in Phantom Thread? The answer to the question is no, I've not seen it. I haven't seen Her. That one I should definitely see. I mean, I should probably see all of them, but like, Her is like, I love Spike Jonze. I like Joaquin Phoenix, and the color palette in the stills I've seen of that movie, very chef's kiss. I did a little chef's kiss. Did you hear it? Now, let's explore. We're going a little too quickly, but we got what we were looking for here, which is easy deal with the devil access in the future. And I mean, let's be real, this is looking like a pretty solid victory. Only other thing I would really want, I mean, I would like a speed upgrade, but, you know, in the realm of, like, pseudo-realism, like actually making a big impact, a a respawn would be nice just for peace of mind, you know? We must have swallowed our trinket as well. A tears upgrade would also be nice, but definitely not critical, I would say. Anyway, I don't even want to think about where I'm at on having... Oh, dude, respawn? Not quite. On the, like, best albums of the 2010s. I'm trying to... I've listened... My favorite album of the 2010s? It's To Pimp a Butterfly. The only album I've listened to in the 2010s? There's two. To Pimp a Butterfly and Neil Cicierga's Mouth Moods. Whether or not you consider that to be a transformative work, I don't know. It's from the 2010s, but it's really timeless. I'm way behind on media. I'm trapped in a time capsule between the years of like 1993 and 2007 or 8 or so. From the release of Nirvana's Nevermind to maybe when Hot Chip comes out with One Life Stand. I think that's pretty much the time capsule from which my media exists in. What does that mean on film? Well, it means like Jurassic Park to roughly The Hangover. In video games, I'm like in 3019 right now. I'm up there. Don't try to take that away from me. I'm playing everything, dude. Well, not everything, but I'm playing a lot, let's put it that way. It's weird. You know, it's one of the, I've talked about it before, but we can talk about it now, too. You know, people hate the suburbs to some extent. Rob always talks with such disdain for the suburbs. About how, like, it's a fate worse than death to live in a reasonably priced neighborhood outside of a major city. I mean, I definitely, case is not abundantly clear, I disagree with him. I don't live in the suburbs, but I went through like a residential glow up as a child. I was very thank you to my parents for doing this, by the way. I grew up in a rural area, like, you know, 8 or 9 minute bike ride to my closest neighbor. And then, mercifully, after like 8 years of that, when I was in 9th or 10th grade, my parents moved to a suburb. And I thought the suburb kind of ruled. You could walk to the library, you could walk to the skating rink and the swimming pool, all three of which were contained in the same building, but I mean, it wasn't a large suburb. You could walk to the video rental store. Lots of good stuff going on, you know? If I wanted to rent a movie back in like the year, let's say 2003, I would have to convince my parents to let me rent the movie on one of our car trips into the closest local town. It's not impossible. I'm not saying it was like I was carrying, you know, my daily drinking water from the freshwater lake 10 kilometers away, but, you know, as a teenager living in the suburbs, I was blessed to be, you know, it was like a 20 or 30 minute walk, but at least you get it done. But anyway, the other thing afforded to me by the suburbs, and the reason that I will never go back on them, and a lot of people are probably living this life right now, and I'm for it. Living in the suburbs does supply ample amounts of boredom. You know, especially before you get your driver's license, maybe you don't have access to a vehicle. You can't always, like, you know, hop on the L train and go see your friends, you know? So you got a lot of time sitting at home by yourself. It allowed me to cultivate a very snobby but particular set of, you know, preferences for music, movies, television, etc., which is why I only like educational, inspirational, and intellectual content like the Marvel Cinematic Universe now. I'm really of the opinion, I don't know if this is bordering on being like too cartoonishly stoic, but I think like boredom is a great thing for a young person to experience a lot of. It's the same, you know, like learning how to learn is like more important than just what you learn, because if you it's a teach a man to fish situation, probably doesn't need any more explaining than that. Spending a lot of time being bored does a really good job of teaching you how to not be bored. It also gives you an ample amount of time to work on yourself, you know, to engage in introspection. Instead of always being entertained by the world around you, you gotta pull some of that entertainment from within. Sometimes all that entertainment from within. Anyway. That's why, you know, I love living in the city. Cool. There's, you know, it's expensive, absolutely, but there's, you know, definitely privileges afforded here that, I mean, it's a great place to be like a childless adult with disposable income, is really what it comes down to. But I'm happy that at least part of my experience growing up, I was raised in the suburbs. Because you might be out there living a rural life right now, and I gotta tell you, if that's what you're into and you like it, don't let me talk down to it, okay? But, you know, I feel like for some people, they're like, you know, living in the city is cool. Living in the country, that's cool too. You get a different kind of experience, but it's full volume, right? Living in the suburbs is a compromise between the two. And I'm like, dude, take it from me. As a youngster, I mean, I was lucky enough to have friends, you know, living in the rural neighborhood I lived in, but we were friends by geography, not because of like shared interests. You know, like everybody that lived around me farmed. Which is not, I'm not saying that's a negative at all. Like, it's a very noble profession. But, you know, there's like a bunch of farmers' kids who are like, hey, this is our cow, you know, Becca. By the way, you know what you just ate for dinner tonight? Becca's sister. You know, and then there's me, who's like cried when Uncle Ben died in Spider-Man 1. You know, it's like it's oil and water. You know, we didn't necessarily mix that well. So I respect the suburbs for giving me an opportunity. I can be your suburban champion. I think it's like people that have always lived in a relatively dense, like, urban area, they think the suburbs is like, is the worst thing in the world. I would very much disagree. As someone who's run the gamut, I mean, I was gonna say I've never lived in a huge city, but people might consider Vancouver a big city, and, you know, I lived in the third largest city in South Korea, which is probably, I mean, a little bit larger than Vancouver. I would take the city over the suburbs, but I you know, if you're a parent and you're like, oh, I feel bad about moving my teenager to the suburbs, they'll get over it, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they'll never get over it. I can't really speak to it, to be honest. Let's see if we can become Guppy right off the bat. We're on Dank Depths 1. I'm not saving this for the cathedral. That's madness. Hold up. We're gonna take this, but the run is not... I didn't mean to buy that. It's not quite as good as I would like it to be, just because of HP. And I keep giving my HP away, so, you know, it's no surprise to me. I am my own worst enemy, but... on top of all this... I would like a little bit more HP. Why come into this room, then? Because more than HP, I want to be Guppy. I've got to start playing a little bit more conservatively, because I can't lose the streak. Not that we're even close to it. I don't want to... it's the number one thing. Sandbagging is so annoying to me. Like, if someone's beating you in something, and they're like, man, I don't know, I'm really nervous. I think you're going to come back. You're like, dude, just shut up. You're winning. Just play the heel role when you win, okay? You can't be... clearly winning and then also try to embrace the underdog role, you know? It's disingenuous, downright disrespectful. So I'm not gonna do that. I'll play the heel role right now. We're definitely in a winning position. But I have to make sure that we stay in that winning position, because if I were to die, to lose the streak on a run where you didn't... I mean, well, first off, where you had an incredible run would be extremely embarrassing. But then secondarily on top of that, one where you didn't even start as Eden... That's, it runs contrary to my my goals as a content creator. Cricket's head, by the way, you love to see it. Don't get me wrong. Not as meaningful as it would be on a run where, you know, our damage stat was a little bit more tied to our ability to succeed, but it's still a welcome thing to have. I don't know, I feel like we got a kind of a middling to bad tier rotation. A lot of our pills are, you know, we have PhD, keep in mind. A lot of our pills are like, one makes you smaller. Horf. You know, where's my, in particular, tears upgrades would be pretty nice right now. Anyway, no complaints, though. I've brought this up from time to time, but, you know, and it's not even like a kids these days sort of thing, but I do think, you know, I grew up an only child in an era before cell phones. You know, like, I was probably like 25 before I had a cell phone that could access the internet without having to pay like $1 a megabyte. So I've only had internet access on the go for like non-stop on-demand entertainment wherever I want for like 4 or 5 years.
Friends till the end.
Let's say 5 or 6 years. Sometimes I forget. I hit the big 3-0 last year. Sure, why not? Let's see how this works with hemolacria. It doesn't? Anyway. So I didn't have any siblings to bother or to bother me. I don't really care about boss rush here. I'd rather make sure our donation machine's well stocked. So I grew up in situations where like your parents would take you to the bank so you didn't have to have a babysitter, and you'd be like, what'd you do at the bank? Well, what do you think I did at the bank? I sat there. You know, you learn how to entertain yourself by running thought experiments like, you know, is a sandwich a burrito or something? I feel like, don't get me wrong, it's a good thing that there's easy entertainment out there on demand at a regular, you know, whenever you want it, basically. I'm just also saying that, like, if an EMP or solar flare hit planet Earth and all telecommunications networks were wiped out, I would be just fine, you know? They'd be like, what are you doing, Ryan? I'd be like, just sitting. What are you doing? Pretending I have Snapchat still. I don't know. I guess this might be a bold statement, but I'm pretty sure if we got hit by like a solar flare that fried all of our electronics and sent us back to the Stone Age, first off, I would probably be killed and eaten, or at least like held for ransom of some sort. I don't have any practical skills to use in that environment. I haven't really built my life around that. I was born at the right time, you know? I fit well into a service-based economy. I think I could handle manual labor if I had spent my life planning for it. You know, I don't mind mindless repetitive tasks. I find them occasionally meditative, but like, you know, I'm happy with where I'm at. Let's put it that way. We'll definitely try both here. Might as well try that, but we would probably have bigger problems, is what I mean. Like, as a society, we would have bigger issues than just where's Snapchat. I've become like the most mundane doomsday prepper in this fictitious scenario where I'm like, oh, well, you were all enjoying the basal pleasure of things that are actually entertaining. I was practicing being bored just in case all of our electronics got fried by a solar flare. So, experimental treatment absolutely screwed our ability to... Oh, no, it didn't. Wait a minute. Okay, so basically, let me finish my earlier train of thought. Experimental treatment made our rate of fire go down, and because our rate of fire modifier is so screwed up... nice. Thanks to hemolacria, is jank. We're just gonna take Shoop to Whoop, I think, for the raw damage output here. But because of hemolacria skipping stones, somehow it's like it allows us to circumvent the tier delay by just tap firing instead of holding a shot in. Keeping one in the chamber, you know? Hello, Ruka. I wouldn't necessarily say it's, you know, particularly advantageous, but it is definitely better to be able to shoot than to have to wait so long. Anyway. Dude, very easy day. Like, this is the third Isaac episode I recorded today. I don't know if you can remember the ones from, you know, 3 days ago. Maybe you're watching them all in one fell swoop. It's been a very easy day of Isaac. I got nothing to complain about there. It's actually been, I mean, I recorded a bunch of Gungeon episodes today as well. Easy day of Gungeon. Next, I'm moving on to Sekiro. So I would love if that trend continued, but I would also be surprised if it did. That's okay. You need a little bit of hardship, you know, just to keep you sharp, you know? Hard times make strong men, even in video game contexts. Anyway, I was thinking, like, it's not actually like kids these days have so many advantages when it comes to entertainment. I don't believe that. I these days have so many advantages when it comes to entertainment. Like, trying to think of like where I want to go with this one. I can think of some stories. So like, I thought I was a genius when I worked my summer job in 2007. I'm a pioneer is basically the gist of this bit, to give you the prime punchline so you can laugh along with me. In 2007, you know, my family is not poor, but I, as a college student, did not have a disposable income, you know? All of my money was saved. So, you know, like $5 was a big deal. So, 2007, I get a summer job. What do? I buy the cheapest MP3 player I can find. It was like $40. It was garbage. I loaded it up with like free course materials. Yeah, we don't want Death's List. You know, like public domain audio books and stuff like that. And I listened to them at work while I was working. I know this is commonplace now, but all I can say is at the time it was revolutionary tech. Not that many people, you know, people were like, oh my god, you're like reading and working at the same time. What an incredible idea. I know. Now, this is going to sound like a fake story, but I swear to you, the MP3 player was so bad, it broke literally on the last day of my job. It was like a spiritual experience. Right around lunchtime, it just crapped out, never came back, and I was like, you know what? Salute that MP3 player. It was absurdly cheap. It did exactly what I needed it to do, and then it died on the feet of Mount Doom. That job did also suck, I want to say, which is, you know, you get the idea. Then, the summer job I had next year, technology had improved a little bit. I borrowed my friend's, I don't even know, it might have been a Zune, and he had like all the seasons that had come out of House and Arrested Development on it, and I would just put it in my pocket and I would listen to House and Arrested Development. And you're like, oh my god. Now you're watching TV while working at the same time. And I want to point out, there were deliverables for that job, and they were delivered on time and under budget. They weren't really under budget. I didn't have a budget. The budget was my labor cost, which was basically minimum wage. On time and on budget. Next job, I had my own smartphone. It was an LG Chocolate. Whenever I went to the bathroom and defecated at work, what did I do? Mega Man 2, baby. It's amazing now that, like, in seconds, you can have the sum total of the human experience at your fingertips. And, I mean, without being tethered to a desktop computer or taking your laptop into the crapper with you. You know what I mean? Crap topping used to be a thing. you bring your laptop into the toilet with you if you're going to be there for a while. Is it gross? Well, I mean, it's your laptop. Probably half the people that are like, it's a little bit of a straw man, but probably half the people that are like, I would never take my laptop into the bathroom with me. Don't even wash their hands after they go. So, you know, we're a species built on hypocrisy is the enduring legacy there. You don't need to anymore. Unfortunately, it doesn't rhyme as well. Like, you know, how are you gonna poop with the phone out? The eye poop? It doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't work as well. I'm sorry to say. Don't shoot me. How did I not get it? We've come a long way. And by we, I mean a few companies working, you know, on ingenuity, and the vast majority of the people being like me as passive consumers of its, of the fruits of its labors. Anyway. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. We are up to 37 wins in a row, but it doesn't count because we were Isaac, but we're going to count it anyway. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya.